Before I get started, I just like everybody, I feel kind of, the reason I'm here is because of these two right here, Rick and Lisa. So everybody give Rick and Lisa a hand. Thank you. We're going to cover winter stockpiling and grazing techniques. These are some of the things that I use in Missouri. And like I talked about earlier, I'm not telling you all this is stuff that you will use in Canada, but I just kind of give you a few tips about what we're doing and open it up to questions as we go. So if you hear something or see something, don't hesitate to raise your hands. What is stockpile? Let's define what stockpile is. Well, stockpile is stuff that is grown for the coming dormant season of things that aren't grown. Okay? And it is the biggest money saver in the grazing operation. If we can grow our hay on the stock and not run a harvesting machine over it and let the cow remove it from the stock, what more efficient mechanism is it? There isn't. There's not a single machine that can mow it, break it, bale it, poop it out, seed it on the ground while building a baby calf in its belly. There's no tractor that'll give you a baby calf that I know of. Some of them sound like they're going to give you a baby sometimes when they're running. But we try and look at how can your cow feed herself? And I realized, I talked to a guy here a while ago, sometimes y'all get 3 foot of snow up here. You're not going to graze in 3 foot of snow. But what if you could grow some stockpile and graze another 2 or 3 weeks into the fall? Like out here right now, there's no reason you shouldn't be grazing. Somebody said, well, plug in the pastures. Well, that's because you don't have any sod. You don't have any sod. You've got to get some sod, but the only way to get sod is to graze. You're not going to get sod by haying part of your farm. And other persons say, well, I want to hay 50% of my farm. I want to graze the other 50%. I want to do that. You're never going to make any money. Buy it. Buy the hay. Sell your hay equipment and buy it. And I get this argument everywhere I get to talk. Well, Greg, I can put up a lot higher quality hay because I can bale it when it needs to be baled. Okay? Then continue to lose money. I can't help you. If that's what you want to do and it makes you happy to bale hay, then by all means go bale hay. Just have fun when you're doing it. Because Ian always says, if you're not having fun, why are you doing it? I don't have fun on a tractor. I really don't. I hate them. I absolutely despise them. Because in junior high, that's what I did. I spent all summer on a tractor every day, 14 hours a day, custom baling for a neighbor. That's what he did. And I was the guy that mowed the hay. I spent 14 hours a day mowing hay. All summer. I got my fill of hay. Okay? Here's some animals that can do it on their own. I didn't know there was such a thing as grass genetics. I really didn't. I just thought cows were cows. And then I found out, wait a minute, if we get the right type of cows that are adapted to their environment, they can feed themselves. I don't have to feed them hay. Now, in Missouri, we get ice. And we'll get ice thick enough that it'll hold the human being up, 1.5 to 2 inches thick. And usually it comes after we have had a 4 or 5 inch snow. So now we've got our snow and we've got our ice on top. That's pretty tough grazing. That's pretty tough grazing. Cows just have a hard time getting through that. So we'll feed hay during that period, but it's not all winter. Okay? So there they are. We've got our hot wire up right here. They can't graze any further than that. Look at the feed. I didn't have to unroll it. It was growing on the plant.
Greg?
Yes.
So why is hay on the plant that's left out in all sorts of weather got good nutrition in it when hay that's cut and get rained on once, twice, beaten on by the sun doesn't make good forage when you test it, protein and so on? Why is on the stalks going to be good feed for cows to put weight on?
Because those cows are telling me it is.
They'll eat the ratty hay too.
No, they won't. I've got a video. It's on my phone. I can't put it on here. I wish heck I could. It's a great video. It's about 2 minutes long. It's 15 below zero that morning. The wind's just whipping. It's freezing cold. God, 15 below. I'm cold. And I feel sorry for the cows.
You're talking 15 below Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. 15 below Fahrenheit.
That's still mild.
No, it's cold. You gotta remember where I'm from. Darn it, in Missouri, that's cold. Anyway, I felt sorry for the cows that morning. It had rained the night before, and everything had some frozen ice on it. The coats had frozen rain on them. So I rolled that. I went and got 2 bales, put it on my Dodge, and I started unrolling it. And we'd already had set up 4 paddocks in front of us with wire. We were moving them every day, morning and night, with the strip grazing. Just about, the width of this room, about 400 feet long. Stockpile forage. Brown. Covered with snow. And I unrolled those 2 bales, and those cows came over, they were kind of messing through it, walking through it. And I told the boys, the interns, to go up there and just go and take that wire down. When they get done with this hay, they'll be up there and pick through that this afternoon. Those cows looked up and saw those boys headed for that reel. And before they got it halfway unrolled, every single cow left that hay and went to that stockpile. Up on top of the ridge, fighting the wind, busting through the snow with their nose, pulling that stockpile out from underneath the snow and ice. And I had dry, good smelling hay. It was pretty darn good hay. It just didn't have mold in it. They left that darn hay to that stockpile. And that told me right there, I cannot buy as good as hay as what I can raise on the plant. Can't do it. You know why? Because that stockpile up on that ridge had green in it. It had a little bit of green down in there. You can't put up hay in Missouri with green in the wintertime. It's not going to happen. That's the difference. You can't put up hay and leave. There are some people who put up super high quality alfalfa and feed it to a beef cows, square birds. Can't do that. You won't make any money. You can sell that darn alfalfa bale to a horse guy for $12 in Missouri. You're feeding it to a cow? Come on. Can't do it. You simply can't do it. So stockpile is the best feed that I can put in front of my cows. Folks, I've seen stockpile in March that was grown on the previous fall, where it hasn't been grazed. You open it up, you look down in there, and sure enough, there's green clover. There's still clover green down the bottom of that canopy, because they never saw the frost. The fescue was like a greenhouse over the top of that darn clover, and it never got frosted. Oh, you put cows on that, they're about knock you over, going after that green clover in March. Yeah. So when does stockpiling begin? It begins in the spring. You can't go out in July, August, September and say, I'm going to grow stockpile for this winter. It doesn't happen. It's never going to ever happen. It begins in the spring. By not overgrazing, by not coming in too early. We call it building our haystack. Building our haystack starts with the very first grazing in the spring. Don't take it down too early or too short. Bleed. Bleed as much as you can afford to bleed. And as you go through the grazing system, the grazing period through the summer, you're going to find out when you come to the fall, you've got quite a bit of forage out there if you're not overstocked. Most people overstock, they don't even know. They're taking too much forage. That's what we are. We're growing our haystack. There's a guy. That's my neighbor. He's got cattle out on that, for heaven's sakes. Look at that. You still see the hay that he's unrolling. This is about April 15th. He's already got cattle out there nipping that off because he has no management. He told my intern last winter, they met at the fence line, he goes, well, what Greg's doing over there may work, but it won't work on my side of the fence. He's right. It won't. It's right there. He's convinced it won't work. He's right. Isn't that a sickly looking plant? I mean, it is. I'm sorry, it's sickly looking. Yeah, it looks like it's on a starvation diet. Do you see any litter out there? That's all bare soil, folks. That's a yard that's not even being grazed. There's a yard. There's a little house there. That's a yard. That's not being grazed. But everything else is being grazed. There's no grass there. He has reduced the capacity of that farm 40% because they nipped it off too soon. Yes? You got to talk up. I can't hear you. Can you afford to use good high cash cropping land to do this on? Absolutely. I'm working with a guy in Indiana. He is a billionaire. This is pretty cool. He's a billionaire. And he's buying corn ground for $12,000 an acre. He's turning it into grass. And the corn farmers are absolutely freaking out. Because he's going in and buying the best there is. And he's turning them into grass. He's got an arbitor now. He's hiring families to come in and work on his farm. Daughters, sons, fathers, mothers. It's really cool stuff. He's revitalizing the whole community. He's tired of seeing the community all go to town and work. He's bringing the communities back to the farm. It's pretty neat stuff. But yeah, you can do it. He's doing it. Now, he's got money. That makes it go a lot faster when you got money. Folks, when you ask that question, when you say that, I think you've got to find the right landowners. There's a lot of landowners out here that don't want Roundup sprayed on their land. They're tired of it. Do you all know that Roundup is now showing up in baby's breast milk? It doesn't dissipate. Sorry. Roundup is staying in the system. It's not dissipating. And so, yeah, there's a lot of landowners out here that are just absolutely on our side. They want to convert good pasture ground back to pasture.
But we're talking about economics. Like I totally keep it, and I'm just meaning economically I can sell an organic pasture.
What's the economics of people that have to go and have to, I don't want to talk about that. My God. We don't have time to argue about this. We got to get on with it. We got to get on with it. Somebody at the Voices Conference in San Diego this year nailed down Xavier. He was a baby. I'm not beating up on babies. He just said, Xavier gave a talk about the mob healing, reversing desertification using mob grazing. It was a great talk. Have you all seen it? Yep. Well, they nailed him on it. This baby stood up and says, what are you going to do with all these livestock?
Eat them.
He goes, sir, we don't have time to sit here and argue. Get on with it! I mean, he shocked the whole crowd. Get on with it! He's like, whoop! Okay. I mean, that guy sat down. There was no arguing savory. He's like, we don't have time to argue. We're all going to fry if we don't reverse desertification. So, yeah. Yes?
Your neighbor's farm, instead of just letting it out over the whole farm and raise it down, if he strip grazed it because the hay is supplemental what they're getting out of it.
He'd have plenty of forage, Tony. It's Tony, right? Plenty of forage.
So by different means and still getting some fresh green off that pasture.
Exactly.
And building up litter to the waste acre strip.
Yep. He can get there. He's running less cows than we are on more land. And that's how all of us farms look. He's doing the Columbus method. I even helped him put in the paddocks. Guess what he's doing? He's got all the gates open. He won't close the gate. I helped him put in the paddocks. He won't close the gate because he's got to get off the tractor. Oh, okay. Talk about killing earthworms and microbes. Ian compares this to being a drug addict. Lisa holds out her arm, and I inject her with fertilizer, and I get her addicted to it, and I kill all the mechanisms in her arm, all the antibodies, all the life. She is now addicted to me. That's what we've done to our soils. We've killed all the life, and the fertilizer companies laugh their butt off because we have to come back for our fix. Because we've killed our soils. What's happened? It's the biggest lie that's been sold to agriculture worldwide. We've got to put fertilizer down, or you're not going to grow anything. It's malarkey. Yep.
Back to Stockpile, unrolling bales when you have to stop heat because of this ice cover and whatnot. Do you ever have that's like putting a thick mulch on. Oftentimes you kill what's underneath. So how much?
A thick mulch, yeah.
When you roll it out, how thick is it and how much do you get killed?
That's all dependent on you and your management. You can push them through that. If you unroll a strip of hay, run a poly wire next to it, put some pressure on it. They get in there and they'll eat, if you want them to eat 60, 70% of it, the tighter you put them in there, the more of it they'll eat. If you give them a looser area where they don't have them, when they're not in there so tight, they're going to kind of mess through it and probably only eat maybe 30%. Or you can make them eat 100%.
So do you get any kill underneath that matter?
No. We'll unroll, if I'm going to be gone in the wintertime, like at a conference, my interns and I will go out and unroll a whole week's worth of hay. If it's icing, I'll just unroll a whole week. Bale after bale after bale. And then we take polymer and just strip graze those bales like it's stockpile forage. Okay? Just give them a bale. It's already unrolled. Just give them a bale every half a day. If you got to, depending on how many cows you have. We're running 300 cows. We got to unroll, 6 bales for 300 cows. Well, I tell you, I hate this darn hay. I hate it. Yes?
Just go back to your stockpile. How tall would you say you let your stockpile grow in the summertime for you to know that it's going to be efficient on winter?
How tall do you want to grow your stockpile in the summertime, approaching fall, to know it's going to be good stuff?
Yeah.
You need to graze that stockpile at least once. I know people that, I'm not going to graze that all winter. All summer, so I have a whole bunch of it out there, and that's my stockpile for this winter. You'll have a bunch of it, but it's going to be crap. It needs to be grazed once, so that stuff that grows back, at least it's got more energy in it. You're going to lose some energy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's 100% energy. It's not. You don't want it to be 100% energy. You're going to eat it all. I used to profess it was like gold. Stockpile was like gold. I wrote about it in my first book, No Risk Ranching. Treat it like gold. Don't waste 1 inch of it. Malarkey. You want to waste some of it or leave some behind, you need to leave 3 to 4 inches. If you'll leave 3 to 4 inches through the winter time, what that's going to save you in the spring turnout is huge. It's huge. It's 2 weeks. You're going to not have to feed hay 2 less weeks because your forage will be ready that much sooner. So don't take it down too short. Folks, there's a growing point on grass. And if you get it much lower than that, you remove that growing point. It's a little bitty tiller that sticks out. If you take that growing point off, 2 weeks. It takes 2 weeks to get that growing point back before the plant ever starts growing again. Okay? too short. If you can leave a good 3 to 4 inch residual out there, and you do get rain, you're holding on to it. It's not going to wash, okay? 7 to 8 grazing rotations, that's what we did with MIG. We never grew any full growth folks. We didn't have enough time. Our roots were so weak and so short, there wasn't enough time. Don't get this mentality in your mind that I'm going to stockpile the back 40 and the front 60. I'm not going to stockpile that. Why not? Well, I can't. Or it's hayfield or whatever. You need to have the mentality that if the grazing conditions are right, you ought to be able to graze your entire farm. Even if it means I'm mowing hay on it. At least the animals are out there putting poop and pee on it. It's better than up around a loafing shed somewhere. I'm not going to grow you anything in that loafing shed. But if they're pooping and peeing out there on the land, that's going to grow you some grass the next year. Okay? You can move poop, but you can't move pee. Not very easy. It's gone. The mature sward insulates the soil surface. This is huge. We do sharpen all of our posts. The one I like the best is made by O'Brien. You can get it, I don't know, maybe he, can you get O'Brien post? The step ins, the white ones?
Could possibly.
I'm telling you, I've used them all. I've used, and I'm not, I'm not going to sit here and push products, but I'll just tell you what works, O'Brien's. They work. Put a pencil point on them, sharpen them, put them on a bench grinder, and put them down to where they're a point. I've pushed them through ice. In extreme situations, I'll even go out with a cordless drill with a 1/4 inch drill bit on it and just drill through the ice and set them in there. I do like to have some blue ones because they can see that on the snow better. If you've got a group of cattle and they're coming through and it's snowing and you're moving them in the snow and they're kind of blinded, they can see those blue posts. If you've got white posts, they can't see them. And if you're using white polywire, they're not going to see it either. So I like to use blue in the wintertime. Yep.
In a drought, where do you like to put the post?
In a drought, where do I like to put posts? In a crack.
Or
a real thick stand of grass, where it's really thick. Once cattle graze an area off in the wintertime and they get the sward down pretty short, you can't get them posted. But if you go out into our stockpile in January, it's say 10 below zero, it's not cold, but the ground's froze, you can still push a post into that ground, as long as it's in a heavy sward grass. But once it's grazed off, you can't get it in. Yep?
15 minutes.
Okay. I'm glad you're keeping me on track. Okay, our first killing frost is October 10th. We've had one, but it has slowed our grass up. You know why? The soil temperature is still nice and warm because of all that canopy we have on there. Ian was on our farm in November one year, and he's like, look, folks, look at the plants. Every single plant, clear up to the tip, was green in November. Everybody else is fescue and been frosted. It had stopped growing. Ours is still sending out solar collectors. And that's because of this canopy, the greenhouse effect. We can grow grass now until December. That's huge. What's that worth? Well, it's worth 4 to 6 weeks of not feeding hay. That's a lot of money. I just told you we feed 6 bales a day. And let's just say $30 a bale. That's $180 a day times 30. We're talking some serious money per month. Oh, last in the fall. So if you come into a paddock and it's the last one you graze in the fall, in other words, things are still growing, and that's where you end up in the fall, make sure in the spring that's the last place you end up. Did y'all follow that? So the plants are actively growing, you're still grazing them. That plant did not get time to put down carbohydrates. So make sure in the springtime, that's the last one you get in your rotation. Give it time. Give it time to come back. Tall stockpile, this is beautiful. If you've got grass sticking through snow, it will melt it in Missouri. I'll just tell you what happens. It'll melt it. If you've got a field and the snow covers it and there's no vegetation sticking up through it, I'm talking, it'll melt it if it's only 20 degrees out. It'll melt it on snow. Because that darn ground thing heats up. It catches the sun and it warms up. That's why a lot of sheep, our sheep, we don't water them in the winter. They just graze stockpile fescue and they use a foot. I've had it dig through 20 inches. 20 inches of snow. That's pretty good snow for our sheep. And they'll eat every bit of that grass in that cleared off circle and they jump for it and they'll do it again. And they'll do that on the whole field this size. And in about 3 days, it's completely brown, the whole field. Because those sheep have opened up all these big, wide open brown areas that heat up and melt the snow. There's we had a long cold snap here. It's just starting to melt off. That's what it looks like. But you can see where the forage is sticking up. It's already exposed. There's cows out there chewing on that grass. That's in February. There they are. They're just so darn happy. I mean, they just love grazing. Cows are born to graze. They like to graze. We do have some shelter belts. I mean, if it's going to be, 20, 30 below wind chill, that kind of thing, wind's what gets our cattle if they're wet. And that wind comes, oh, that's a bad, bad combination. So if it's going to be one of those nights, we like to put them in a paddock where there's some cedar trees. And they're doing fine down there. They're all covered with snow, but they're mopped up and probably not as comfortable as we would be in the living room. I like to have a 15-day hay cushion just in case. Stop haying the farm. This was a hard one for me, folks. I owned a tractor. I had the baler, the rake, and the mower. And I grew up baling hay. That's what I did in junior high school. My dad always baled hay. Everybody I knew baled hay. And it was hard for me to adopt the mentality that a cow may not eat as much hay as we think, and it'd be a lot better for me to buy other people's hay. If you count up the nutrients in that baler, at today's prices, the phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium, all the other trace minerals are in that hay, plus the grazing that you get on your farm because you're not baling. Now that hayfield, it's not a hayfield anymore, it's pasture. Boy, you can really make some huge strides. And you're going to say, well, Greg, I don't have fence on my hayfield. Shame on you. Get a fence in there. Well, I don't have water, okay? They can walk back to water, I don't care. Work it out. Get that hayfield as part of your rotation, and you will start making more money. Find somebody else, buy their hay. Folks love to bale hay. They really do. No, I'm serious. You can find it. You can find it. Winter mud. Hugging and compaction is a function of how long they were there. Move on.
Right now, question.
Yes.
What do you do for water in the winter? These real sub-zero like we were.
I think I've got a picture here. I'm going to show you. Yeah. There she is ripping the stockpile out of the snow. I don't use hay rings. It's terrible on animals because they're all concentrated in that thing. They all can't get around the hay, so they start fighting and pushing. Next thing you know, you get one stepped on, a baby calf, whatever. Get the darn thing rolled out. There it is after we've left. Now it's after we've left the paddy. We're going on to another one. I don't have a clean place left there to unroll a bale of hay. And I'm not going to unroll it on a previously fed area. I've got all these paddocks out there that's got snow on it. I'm going to go find one of them. Why would I want to keep on rolling hanging there for? See, there's the next day supply on this side of things. But look at that. I mean, talking about manure pads and urine. And those cows are laying down on those spots. They don't lay there. They lay right there.
You got 5 minutes, Greg.
What's that?
What's the equipment you use to handle the hay?
I hope I got a picture in there.
Better get rolling, you got 5 minutes.
Fence off ponds. This is a big one in Missouri. Every year people lose cattle on ponds. They fall through the ice. I'm talking whole herds lost. They drowned. Folks, put a pie wire around water. Don't let them on the darn pond. Because what happens, one goes out and his buddy wants to go out, the next one. Maybe up here you got 3 foot of ice, it's not enough. But in Missouri, you know, we got, you get a bunch of cows out there and the whole darn log goes through. You just lost your whole livelihood. Put a wire around it. Pipe water, there it is. That's our water system. So all we've got is pressurized water coming in right there. That's a Job megaflow valve. It's tied to a valve. There's a string on it. So as the cows drink, that kicks open and lets water come in. Well, this is pulling water out 24/7. All that is a garden hose, a rubber one, not plastic, rubber. It's got a brick on it so the cows don't rip it out. There is my predator. Yeah, right there. You can't see it, it's going across the center of the tank. That darn thing runs all night long. Just a little bitty stream of water. So it's like a baby calf sitting up there drinking all night. So there's water going through my supply line all night long. It can't freeze. Okay, look at that. There's not even any ice on it. Okay, that's what we use. Now we do have some tire tanks. And I don't know if we got a picture of those.
So the water is going up?
Yeah, this is a natural siphon, folks. That's all that is. That's a siphon. And it's going out about 50 feet away where it's not a problem with the livestock. You don't want your siphon being dumped where your cows are. It's going to make a mess. It's going to freeze. You're going to have a big old ice bath there. Get it away from the home. Get it away from the tank. There's another picture of it right there. There's another picture. Well, we already went over that one. There's a tire tank. This is a good one. This is a winner. I've got 800 gallons in it. And the cattle come in here in the winter. This is gravity coming out this big lake above here. And so as they drink, water comes in. And in the morning, I have to chop ice on it. But it's only one ice a day because I've got one log. So I may have to cut 4 to 6 inches of ice off the top of that tire in the morning. But the rest of the day, the cattle keep going because they're drinking all the time. There it is. That's the plumbing. Now this particular one, I got a drain right here that I've got a pipe that is level with the top of my tank. I can turn that valve on. It's just a hydrant. And that calls for water all day long. Stock is encountered in the winter, stockpile, we talked about that. Enter the summer, all your plants need to be recovered. Leave winter litter and move them daily. Cattle that are moved all season long. You know, I just told you we don't worm our cows. Why don't we worm our cows? They're not eating in their feces. They're not laying in their feces. They're not exposed to the feces. They're always on clean ground. You know, if we put all of us in this one area, we had to stay here for a month, this would get pretty rank. The same way with mob cows. You need to move them. Okay? Yes?
Have you done any work with letting the cattle lick snow as opposed to providing water? Some folks out west thought about it.
I've seen cows lick at snow that was real wet. A lot of our snow is pretty dry. I noticed the cows, when the snow is on and they're grazing stockpile, they won't touch the water. Because every bite that they take out of that snow with the forage, they're getting some liquid. They won't even touch the water. Yes?
You move your cattle onto leased land.
What kind of arrangement do you have to get them back and move them again?
When we move our cattle on the leased land, what kind of arrangement do we have to take them off and get them back on again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get them back again without setting up a capital expense.
Well, all the farms that we have are all in a rotation. And so all our leased farms get grazed 3 to 4 times a year. And so it's all tied into this, depending on how much it's raining, what time the season is, or whatever. Like that one we just got.
They're all side by side and you move them all?
No.
Yep. It's just,
Or
we
down
have
the road.
1,580 acres. 1,580 acres. Of that 1,580, about 750 of it's grass. There's probably 300 of it that is second growth. It's got a little brush on it. And then the rest would be solid, mature, white oak timber, big silver. We do graze all of it. We just don't graze the big timber very hard. You got to be careful grazing big timber, especially this time of year. You'll kill cows on it. I tell you what, the acorns. Well, our cow, you get a bunch of green acorns and a baby cat, a 350-pound cat, he's dead. It just kills the rumen. So don't put your calves in acorns in the fall. Now, once the acorns have been on the ground for a month, no problem. But it's those green ones that get them.
But we also walk our cattle. The farthest walk now is about.
Yeah, the farthest walk is probably 3 miles, 2 to 3 miles. Yes.
When you're walking them on the cattle driving like that, are the sides fenced?
Yes. Yep.
They're always fenced? So
Yep.
do you put that?
Yep. We put that up, take it down.
Put it up, take it down.
It takes longer to put up our wire than it does to make the cattle drive.
Yeah.
We'll start at 7 in the morning, 7:30, have it up by 8:30. Kind of get everybody around, get the cows up, make sure all the baby calves are standing up, try. You know how baby calves are, they seem to find a way to hide. And we'll walk through them. We'll walk through those cows. Make sure they get all up. And then I'm in the lead. My interns and Jan are in the back. And I get out of sight. I go as fast as I can down there, just get out of sight. Because if you just stay in front of them with that foiler, they're going to run the full length of that cattle drive. About 100 of them will. The really good athletes, they'll run. They will. They're so excited, they'll run 3 miles. Gallop. Run. Our cows are good shape. Okay? I don't want them doing that. That's not natural. Joe and old cattle are meant to be driven, not led. When you lead cattle, that's unnatural. That's not right. You're the predator and you're in front of them, leading them? Predator goes behind. You are a predator to cows. And they're a lot more comfortable with you walking behind them. So I get out of sight, Jan and them, and all the babies, and they're just walking them up the dirt. And I'm in front tying the ribbon across the road that goes into the next farm. And I block the road with my foot. The last 3 cattle drives we've had one person, that came by. And she was a neighbor, and she waited. I told her, you can go around, it's going to be 10 minutes. She goes, great, I'm not in a hurry. I just enjoy watching, driving behind her. That works.
And usually it seems like we have a calf born that night.
Oh, I see, without a doubt. Every day we cattle drive, we have a calf. A new one, that morning. It's just a given. Yes.
How much of a mess on the road?
Oh, good mess on the road, black tops. I get in my truck and I'm out there. I'm driving through those darn things. You don't want to be in the big coming down the road hitting a big old cow pen, all right? Drive through them. Don't leave virgin cow pens out there. If you drive through them 3 or 4 times up and down the road, there's no virgins out there, and people see it, well, that's just mud. They don't know it's different until they get home.
When you bale graze in the winter on paddocks, do you ever notice a change in this retard spring regrowth or anything like that?
Bale grazing on paddocks, no. Actually, unless it gets too thick. You know, like somebody was saying earlier, if you're feeding some really junky hay that they don't eat, you're going to have to do something with that stuff you roll out because they're not going to eat it. And that will kill that area where you enrolled it. That's why we have pitchforks, and me and the interns go out there real early in the spring. We start spreading it. It doesn't take long, 3 people with pitchforks. Just spread it. You don't need to spread the whole thing. all you gotta do is make holes in that windrow where the grass can stick up and grow back together. Okay? Yep. Yes?
When you get a chance to see what your bale handling apparatus is.
Yeah. Right. By my book. Is it in that one?
I don't know if the picture is.
It's in the second book. I know. I built a bale, and it goes on my four-wheeler, ATV. It'll unroll a 2,000-pound bale, and you build it, well, today probably $300 if you're good with a welder. Basically, the way it works, it's just got two wheels on it. You back up to the bale, you ram these forks in it, you hook a chain on it, and you can actually jack it up with a 2-ton come on. You take it 21 feet, take the come on off, because it's up in this position, the bale is, and just take your hand and push it, and it falls on the ground. You're still hooked onto the four-wheeler. You just take off of it, and it unrolls it like a bob in a thread. That's the way it works. It's slick. I mean, it's slicker than, I wish I put a picture of it. I can't believe I did.
And we didn't bring any books to make that in.
Did you send us a picture to put on the website, Greg?
I can send you a picture, darn right. I'll send you 3 or 4 of them. I'll send you an in view, side, yeah. You can use a 4-wheel drive like a Toyota pickup, or you can use an ATV. I like it because when my pastures get wet, I get a lot of rain. There's no way I'm getting my Dodge truck out there. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to turn my pasture. With an ATV, you're not tearing up the pasture because they got flotation tires.
5 minutes, Greg.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let's see, covered. Yes.
Saying that the last time of grazing in the fall should be the last one you get to in the spring. Where do you start then? Like the first stockpile?
The longest rest period. The one that's had the longest rest period going into the fall. It's fully recovered. That's where you start.
So the first stuff you stockpile.
Yeah. Folks, try and grow as much forage as you can in the fall. If you get 3 foot of snow on it and the snow beats it down over the winter time, your cows can still have some early spring grazing. You got to be careful out there. I mean, it's going to be muddy, but move them. Give them bigger areas and move them out there across your farm. You might be surprised how many days y'all can graze up here. I think there's some paradigms up in Canada that need to be explored. I do. I mean, I don't know if you've got to feed cows all winter long. I mean, I would be grazing right now, I promise you that. Or I'd give them the cows. I'd figure out a way to feed them. There's no snow, they're going to have to feed themselves. I'm sorry. They need to feed themselves. Let me get him and I'll get you. Yes?
Back to multi-species grazing.
Yep.
We didn't talk a whole lot about the pigs with the cows. Would there be a recommendation as to how many?
Pigs with the cows, there's a recommendation how many you want to put in there. The more you put in there, the more they're going to tear up. Our cows and pigs, we actually moved them twice a day. They were out on pasture. The pigs were not restrained. They went wherever they wanted to go. Guess where they went? Where the mob went. You could go out there and those pigs were always within 50 to 100 feet of that wire, of those cows were. That's where they wanted to be. Because the cows were busting down a lot of stuff. Our pigs pretty much survived on cow patties and red clover. They love grazing the tips off of red clover. Just the tips. I'm talking tips like that. They didn't take any more than 2 inches. This year, we've got 2 groups of hogs. We did one conventional, where we put them down in draws that was bulldozed years ago. It's just full of stumps. We hardwired it, 2 wires of high tensile, and we strip grazed them down through these stumps, feeding them soy and corn. They did extremely well, red wattle. They were red wattle crossed with Berkshire. We have an intern that actually grazed behind the cows, the 14. And they're slower growing. He's giving them bigger paddocks and putting them in the nasty stuff. Briars, thorn bushes, where there's no grass. And the hogs are rooting a lot of that up, which is kind of what we wanted. Put a little pressure on those briars. So it's going to be real interesting to see what kind of progress or damage we did to those areas next spring. So I'm anxious to see what that did. On the sheep and the cows, we always take the cows in first and then the sheep. Cows do not like following sheep. Sheep foul the forage. Sheep and cows are not very happy following. So we'll bring the cows in, and then when it's recovered, we'll bring the sheep in. You need both. You need both in there. Yes?
You're saying you're not following the cows for the sheep the next day?
No.
For the sheep the next regrowth rotation?
Yep.
You're there 30 to 60 days later.
That new farm we just got, it fastened on the sheep farm to all the rest of them. It took 11 farms to put them together. Now we can stay off that darn blacktop. That scared the jeepers out of me. Moving cattle down a blacktop. And we're only on it for 5 minutes. But what if an ambulance came by? Somebody asked me that question in one of these conferences. I'd never thought of that.
2 minutes, Greg, you're out wrong.
You talk about liability. Whew. Yep.
So what about this theory that a root of an animal in the wintertime eats the fat off the back, loses weight, and then in the springtime, 2 or 3 weeks on grass, it's back where you left off?
That's what we've got.
Now, they did that, but last year I did something different. Okay, so when I did that, I didn't give them free choice of hay. I just gave them what I thought they needed, and that was it. Now, last year, which was the worst year I've had, I fed them hay all day and all night.
In the winter?
In the winter, and never lost a bit. And they looked disappointed in the spring, and they did it. So, based on what you're talking about, should I worry about it, or should I go back to not feeding hay? Is that right, not feeding? What's the question?
He's talking about. Repeat what you said in that speaker. You can do it better, huh?
About the root of an animal eats the fat off his back during the winter, and 2 or 3 weeks on grass in the spring. He puts back on the weight, and he's no different than he was when he started winter in the fall. So last year, I fed him hay the whole year, night and day. Previous years I didn't, and they looked like your dead triangle. Last year, they looked beautiful.
You fed 12 months?
I fed them in the wintertime, all day long and all night. So I'm trying to figure out which way I should be doing it.
Well, you've got to do it where you can make money and get the cow bred back. I mean, to me, that's the ultimate goal. If you push them through the winter and they come out of the winter too thin, folks, if a cow is in a body condition of 6.5, if a cow's in a body condition of 6.5 when she calves, it's 97% greenback. 97% of those cows are greenback. If you drop her down to a 5, body condition 5, it drops down to like 70%. That's huge. That means 30 cows out of every 100 are open. That's not going to work. And that's what I'm saying. The genetics we have today in a lot of our cow herds, they're just not very efficient. They've got too much leg, too much growth, too much milk, and they're hard keepers. I call them hard keepers. That's what they are. They milk too much. How are you going to get there? Well, what did Ian say? The function of an animal is to perform into the environment into which it is born. My cows, if I brought them up here to Canada, they're not going to do very well. It's too far. It's too far north. They're not used to the microbes in the soil. They're not used to your forages. They're not used to your weather. They're not used to your management. They're used to my management. They're going to suffer. So if you're going to get replacement animals to bring into your farm, get them as close as possible to where you're located. The further you go to get them and bring them in, there's going to be a bigger adjustment period. People say, well, Greg, you're keeping the bulls. Why don't you buy bulls anymore? We haven't bought a bull for years. No more bulls for me. We're raising our bulls. And that's because I can't buy a bull that is better adapted to our farm than what I can raise. From the time that bull is conceived in his mother, he's fed the forage from my farm through her. That's how he's formed. She's eating forage on my farm. So when that little bull calf comes out on the ground in the spring, he's already adapted. He's already adapted. Where can you find a bull that's already adapted to your forage? You can't. So all these stud sires that are selling you a bull every 2 years, because they say, well, you kept those heifers. He can't breed his daughters. You'll have 2-headed calves. I haven't had a 2-headed calf yet. And I think if you keep those bulls, you're building reproducibility. If you got good eating animals, they're docile, they're performing, they're just going to get better. Keep your bulls. Let the best ones breed. We're linear measuring the bulls now. The ones that have a heart line that exceeds or equal to the top line measurement, those bulls have a chance to be a sire in their herd. In other words, they're promoting gut capacity. If you want to know more about it, you go to bovine engineering. Bovine engineering. The linear measuring is on there. Bovine engineering. So we're measuring the bulls. We're not going to buy any more bulls. Not going to do it.
That's it.
1 minute, Rick.
Okay. I'm going to really blow you all away now. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave that one in the box.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
But yeah, I think if everybody here thinks about some of the things they're doing, some things maybe you heard today, there are some things that we've talked about. Maybe you could look at on your farm. Try to go home and think about some of the things you do in your neighbors. That idle piece of land, that young man I talked about earlier, maybe he needs to he can find something else to help his recovery period. And stop putting hay up. Yes?
You didn't mention much about pasture species.
The pasture species. The grass, yeah, we don't plant anything. We keep about 30% clover in most of our pastures, but we don't seed it. We haven't seeded any clover now for over 10 years. You don't want any more than 30%. If you get 30, 35%, that's good. If you get up 70% clover, it's going to be hard on your livestock. You'll kill some, you'll upload. You don't need that much clover. Okay, thank you all.
Greg and Jack and Ruth are going to be around for a few minutes after. Have a little question and answer period for a few minutes. So any questions that you don't get, I'm going to be the timekeeper for that. And as you can tell, I'm going to cut you off if you talk for more than 2 minutes. So we'll have to move it quickly. I'd like to welcome Jack Kyle from Omafra. Jack is the forage and pasture specialist at Omafra. And Jack's going to give us a bit of an Ontario perspective on some of the things we've heard today. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Jack. Jack, do you have a slideshow?
I do.
Okay, you got it on there.
Hold on. We can, oh, hold on.